All right, welcome to this first formal Tres Amigos. I think that's
Nice
right.
Spanish, dude. That's
We got
great,
Hal
great
Gill, we
pronunciation.
got Dan DeMarco, we got Bruno Bettati, and we have met some time ago. Bruno said we've already gone over this a few times, but he dropped in on the conversation Dan and I were having as I was impromptu trying to have a conversation with Dan, who was on the beach in Tijuana, walking inky. And yeah, so we've connected and we found an opportunity to have a conversation where Bruno joined us again. And this time we're doing it with Bruno's topic, truth versus momentum. And I want to give a little brief overview of that. A series of new phenomenon on the media landscape are modifying the current paradigm that explains what the media is and how we communicate between ourselves. It is the task of intellectuals and free thinkers to, at the very minimum, give new names to these phenomena, so not to differentiate them with older experiences, and by such action allow our minds to construct the new paradigms that now include these new phenomena. And we are going to turn it over to Bruno now to talk more about that hermit's period of his life that started with Berlin during COVID. Over to you, Bruno. You got the mic.
Okay. So thank you for the invitation. We have been very, I think it's important for introduction to state that we have never met each other personally. We've met only through Substack. So
Correct.
we're pretty much e-friends. And what has brought us together is that we can actually build up very good and talk to each other, listen to each other, and proceed in some kind of argumentation where people interested in the truth. We're people that want to go somewhere, and we understand that we have fragments of the truth, but we also understand or hope that together we can bring our pieces of truth together and we can reach something higher than us and of interest to the audience. Now, this which I find a rarity and which I enjoy with you too, is something that not always happens. I would say that from my time in Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram and now on Substack, I've rather had the opposite experience. I've met a lot of people online that want to argue, but want to quarrel, want to fight, or want to make me join their movement. And if I don't join their movement, then they try to rage bait me. They provoke. Basically, they want to push me into some kind of arena where I either join or quarrel. And so what I have noticed is that some people that roam around the networks, particularly Substack now, are more into momentum. And by that I mean that they're not really interested in the truth. Actually, they do not believe in the truth. They think that Hal has a truth and I have a truth and Daniel has a truth, and therefore truth doesn't exist, and it's not
Well,
important to go
they're
for
right
it.
in the one case.
And
They're right in the one
basically,
case.
with this I am,
Sorry, Bruno. Go ahead.
and with this I am repeating the, the playbook of Joseph Goebbels, of Roy Cohn, of Roger Stone, and of Donald Trump. Which is basically attack, attack, attack. Never
Now,
concede
who is Roy
victory.
Cohn, Bruno? Who's Roy
Excuse me,
Cohn?
never concede defeat, and always never concede defeat and always declare victory. And the
Yeah,
principle
Roy Cohn
underlying
was
these
the
three rules.
Sorry, Bruno. Who is Roy Cohn? Roy Cohn, and or Hal? Who is Roy
Roy
Cohn?
Cohn,
Yes.
Cohn,
Yes.
was a lawyer, and he was very heavily embedded in the work that was being done by Joe McCarthy during the McCarthy Red Scare, of the 1950s, but a little before our time. But
Way before my
Bruno,
time.
back to you.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Bruno.
I mean, and you could
Footnote.
have continued that. I think the question is appropriate. I was just allowing
It
Hal to
is.
participate. But Roy Cohn is a very important figure right now because Roy was not only the main advisor to Joe McCarthy and the creator of the Red Scare, and the guy who created the Committee for Anti-Communist Activities, which allowed McCarthy to prosecute endless amount of people that were subpoenaed to Congress, particularly actors and directors and artists, who had to declare that they were not communists, otherwise they would be prosecuted or chased. And
we're looking at that
created
again
this
now.
idea together
Yes,
with
we are at the
Bettati.
border. The border, we just, as I cross the border on a fairly regular basis, they've recently been requiring some people to state that they're not communists. Actually, they did it for 2 days. They required everyone crossing the border into the U.S. from Mexico to state as they drove through the border that they were not communists. They actually had to say it. And even the border patrol agents were just aghast. They were saying, "Sorry, we have to do this. We have to do this. Sorry, but are you a communist?" And then you'd have to say, "No, I'm not a communist." And then they say, "Do you have any active terrorist plots on your Facebook or other social media?" And you'd have to say, "No, I don't." And then
When did
they
this
would let you
start,
through.
Dan?
This was a few weeks ago. It only has lasted 2 days, but it caused a massive traffic. It caused a massive headache in Tijuana because the traffic backed up for like miles because I don't know why it takes a while to ask
I
these
should
questions. I guess.
contextualize this as a moderator, sort of.
Sorry.
That
Yes.
Dan
Sorry.
is in Tijuana,
right.
Mexico, and he crosses the border frequently, and that's an
Yes.
enjoyable thing. And
Yes.
then Bruno is over in Italy right now, but is a Chilean producer of films, and so let's just get back on track now.
Yes. Sorry. I got
Yeah,
off track there. But
that's
the communist
very
thing,
interesting. Roy
it just brought us
Cohn
back
was
to the
part of that
bottom.
anti-American, and he also I forget his relationship to Trump. Bruno, could you fill us in on Roy Cohn's relation?
He was the lawyer of Trump also.
Oh,
In
he
the
was. Okay.
80s, he was the lawyer
Oh,
of
I didn't
Trump.
know that. Oh, interesting.
Trump
I didn't know
hired
that.
him.
Right.
And if you watch, the best source for this is the movie The Apprentice, which is an excellent movie about the relation between Roy Cohn and Donald Trump.
Dear friends.
This is where Trump acknowledged and gets this principle that is created by Cohn, which is, everyone has a truth, therefore truth is irrelevant. And it's not important to look for truth, it's important to impose your truth. And therefore, attack, never concede defeat, always declare victory, even when you lose. Okay?
Right. And
this point of view.
Yeah, and I would just interject that this is also part of that kind of power of positive thinking movement perverted to some degree. I mean, that was supposed to be a good thing to always think positively, but to think positively in the face of overwhelming untruth is what really I think we're witnessing happening, and that we're rolling over for it as a culture, it seems. Go ahead, Bruno.
I mean, the implications that there is no truth are super profound, because that means that there are no facts, and therefore we open the door to alternative facts. There is no evidence, and therefore there is no science, and there is no journalism, and there is no art. The implications of accepting that there is no truth are tremendous. It's basically pushing us back behind the Enlightenment, back to the Middle Ages. So, it's not just a light thing. The problem is, or the situation is that if you push this philosophy, it can actually capture the whole world of politics, because it basically makes people prefer doing than discussing, and it makes argumentation, discussion, conversation irrelevant and a waste of time. Okay,
right?
what's the point in looking for truth when there is no truth? It's just a waste of time. What is important is to know: are you in favor of my cause or are you against my cause? And if you're against my cause, I will attack, and I will never declare defeat, and I will always declare victory, even if you win the argument, because the only important thing here is who is victorious, not who has the truth. And you can see that this philosophy has impregnated the public space, particularly since the start of the second government of Trump. And you see, all senators, all Republicans completely aligned with this principle. And basically, if you're always going to attack and you're never going to concede defeat and you're always going to declare victory, you become a gaslighter, because it's not important to argue. What is important is to perform. And it's not important to talk to you. It's rather important to perform in front of an audience which is not you. And therefore, every communicational act is not an act between me and you two, but it's rather an act between me and my audience. And you are just non-player characters that I use to join my movement or to be the victim of my anger. Okay, and if you join, then we will flatter each other and congratulate each other and share our life and our subscribers. Okay,
and if you good deal, come in.
Dan, you want to?
I think I'm in on this. I think I like this.
And we will. If you join me, I will choose a scapegoat, and I will invite you to join me in criticizing and destroying the scapegoat. Okay.
I'm a great
so
scapegoat. I always am a scapegoat.
No.
Did you see what they did when they introduced this thing? They said two of the smartest men in the world and Hal Gill will
Hey,
sit down
that was
and
me.
discuss it.
I said that.
I'm your scapegoat.
So
What makes
no,
you?
no, that's just the way I am. But I mean, Bruno, you're absolutely right, of course. And as a scientist, this whole notion of once you have to explain something you've lost is anathema to my way of life, because that's what I do for a living, right? I mean, I have to explain these things that I work on are complicated and they're difficult to understand, and you can't just say, "Oh, it works," it works, because and then you don't worry about it. You don't have to worry because it doesn't. The evidence, you have to actually to do science. I mean, to do life, you have to respond to the facts and the evidence and the way things actually operate and are. And if you don't, you're setting
Correct.
yourself up for disaster. Absolute.
Correct. And by the
complete
way,
disaster.
Dan that works with phages, which are these things that work on bacteria, we need to make
The
sure
one thing I work with.
it's one thing you work with, but you're a microbiologist with some
Correct,
degree
yes.
of credentials here that are real, as opposed to just somebody who spouts off.
That's supposed
Go
to
ahead.
be. No, they are.
And
They are
Bruno
real.
is a film producer and a novelist now. You're working on a novel presently, correct, Bruno?
Correct.
I have a talking horse. That's one thing I know about it.
That's not. We can come back to this, but
the novel sounds absolutely fascinating. By the way, I really want to see this novel. I can't wait to read it because it really does. I'm not joking when I say that. It sounds absolutely fascinating. It's a really interesting subject matter.
I don't want to take you
The way
off
he
of
sets it up.
rage baiting, but
it's just a sub.
let Bruno
really wanna
have
read
the
this book.
microphone
Sorry.
and
Yeah.
take it where he wants to go.
Go for it, Bruno. Sorry, interrupting there. Oops.
I just wanted to tell you that I can understand, but when you laugh, I can hardly understand you. It's a microphone problem.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Yes, it's my problem.
Anyway, I'm about to finish. Look, the final, because I've already explained the subject matter, but I think this is central because this explains why science, journalism, and art are out of the picture, and we're flooded by propaganda. Because basically, the basic act of trying to make you join my cause or me destroying you if you don't join my cause is basically propaganda. And this is why journalism, science, and art are out of the window, and we hardly find good journalism, good science, good art, because nobody's really interested in it. Now, the point that I want to make is that of people go for truth or whether they go for momentum, this is also a problem that each one of us faces. Because we can go into for example, we can be irritated by a little note in Substack or a little comment in YouTube, and we might, feel enraged by it, and we will jump and begin an argument with the person, okay, which we hardly know, and perhaps it's not even a person; it could be a bot, a scammer,
Right.
But we jump into the argument, and we get enraged, and we fall into the trap. So this problem of our mind going towards truth or towards momentum is a trap that we constantly fall for. Okay, it happens to all of us. And if we fall for momentum and we're not really interested in momentum, after a while we get worn out by the conversation, and then we hang up and we hate the network, and we begin saying, why the hell am I mingling in the internet world? There's nothing to look for here. And eventually we develop some kind of skepticism, some kind of hermetism, some kind of distrust on the other people, And finally we say it's trying to communicate with other people is useless. And so we end up being divided. And so the people that actually have a heart and have an interest in truth never really make another attempt to join other people that want to build the truth. And this is the political weakness that we face. And this is not a left-wing problem. This is a problem of our mentality, the mentality of each one of us. How do we react when we want to communicate with somebody? Are we trying to build sense together? Are we inviting the other person to join the search for truth? Or are we rather playing the same game that very good chess players do, and also LLMs do, which is I throw you a line and I throw you a word just to see how you react. And, each one of my comments is not destined to invite you to compliment, but rather it is a push to make you react in my favor or against me. And both are useful because I will create a scene about our quarrel. And so each one of our communicational acts on the networks is very important. The way we react in every little thing. First of all, anytime that you get enraged with somebody for a little note or a YouTube comment, don't waste your time answering it, because you are immediately contributing to the push for other momentums. The second thing that is important to say is that people that prefer momentum instead of truth are people that enjoy snowballs, meaning, they push anything and the snowball rolls and the snowball gets bigger and bigger, and suddenly the snowball falls off a cliff or destroys a house, and the person who pushed the snowball shuts up and doesn't take any accountability. Okay, which is the worst part of people that attempt snowball. In general, people that snowball use pseudonyms, do not put their real name, do not put their real photograph, and when they ruin something, they vanish. You never heard of them again. Whereas people that go for truth, they do use the real name, they do take accountability for the ideas that they want to push, and so instead of snowballing, which is basically pushing anything and see where it goes. This is more about, discovering patterns, building meaning, building sense, writing, doing movies, doing art, doing journalism, doing science. It's about that. And that requires, we cannot do art, journalism, or science if we have a momentum mentality, and therefore we will never halt all the snowballers unless we have an important change in the way we behave ourselves in the internet space. So, that being said, all this reflection came to me after talking to you guys. The different conversations that we've had, built up this theory. Basically, on the one side, some comments of Hal regarding ethics or being a good ancestor, which is, every time you do something with your other, with another human being, remember that you're not only working for you and him, you're also working for your sons and for your grandsons. A very Japanese mentality, I would say, which is the intergenerational equity. Hal is very much into, let's leave a planet better than the one that we received, basically. Is this a very key component of Hal? And I incorporated it into this, which is every time you want to communicate with somebody, ensure that you want to create a better world, not a worse world, because the world is already quite bad. We don't need your negative energy. We're already full of it. And
don't take that personal, Dan.
No, he's right. He's all right. He's all right, as usual. Very correct.
He's got rage, man.
And in the case of Daniel of Junglist, Daniel has I asked Daniel, why is it that I feel that now in 2027 people are much more angry and much more prone to anger and much more prone to if you for example, when the news bring good news, nobody cares. But when the news, negative news, everyone is attached to the TV set. And we all talk about bad news, but very rarely do we talk about something positive. We make a huge speech about negative stuff. And also, if somebody, talks about positive things, we might find the conversation boring. Where if somebody is disruptive with the discussion, I asked Daniel if there was anything from the science world regarding why are we so angrier than in the 90s or in the 80s, because I really perceive, in every country, in every person I meet, I perceive a tendency to anger that didn't used to be here.
Yeah, and it's COVID. That's exactly why. And there's research. There's 3 papers came out just this year, fantastically high quality papers that showed in people with long haul COVID at least significant increases in anger, lack of empathy, lack of sympathy, aggression increases. All these things are seen and they're elevated. And again, these are people with long haul COVID who have the worst cases of COVID. They see changes in the brain that correspond to this lack of empathy and sympathy and increased anger. And in people who don't have long haul COVID, who just maybe had COVID, in my opinion, that's probably everybody in the United States at least, who, because our vaccination rates were so low, you were infected. Even if you never got sick or did not feel sick, that does not mean you were not infected. So just get that to be clear. That does not mean at all that you were not infected. And everybody, in my opinion, in the U.S. probably was at least once. And it is a nervous system, a neurological virus. They call it a respiratory virus because that's where the symptoms are seen. But that was a mistake. I mean, I think it was intentional, probably, maybe. not to create a panic, but in any event, it is a neurological virus. It goes to the brain first, and it does damage there. And the damage it
Wow.
does appears to be a cause of anger and
That
lack of
explains it.
empathy, sympathy. Well, just because the hypothesis explains something, it has great explanatory power. Yes, that does not mean it is correct.
It
And it is a
explains
hypothesis.
my lack of mental acuity.
And so you have to be very clear. This is a personal, not personal. It is sort of a personal hypothesis. There are, of course, others who say similar things. No one goes quite as far as I do, I don't think. But
I think
but
we
certainly,
should definitely take issue with that.
yes.
But I wanted to say something about COVID. You know, I had it, I believe I caught it at the Dead and Company show at Hampton Coliseum in November, early November 2019, because I showed symptoms. The ground glass opacities in the right lung, which is my good one. The D-dimer levels in my blood were elevated. My doctor was a very good doctor here in DC. He'd retired during COVID, sadly, but he was checking my legs for blood clots and stuff because this was very unusual, these symptoms.
Yeah.
But they were exactly the symptoms COVID people have. But I had just gotten probably a cold. I hadn't really noticed it. And then, you know, I had it again about a year after the vaccines were available or so, and that wasn't fun. And I got Paxlovid, so it was taken down to a level that I survived.
Yeah.
A friend of my husband of one of my wife's colleagues died of it. He couldn't get tested. And when they finally did test it and realized he had COVID, it was too late. Another friend of mine, who's the film director, Michelle Ezrick, who I quite often try to amplify out here because she did the Wavy Gravy movie, as well as Cracked Up, which is about trauma-informed care. These things are really important to me in the aspect of we've got to get the word out about what works to calm our nervous systems, because we are traumatized primates. We're out here flinging our species at each other like traumatized primates do, you know, and developing all kinds of other and this goes back to what was being said about the rage levels going up. And, you know, it's not just maybe the infection, but it's also the way in which our own media, and this is the media thing that Bruno's talking about, are encouraging that snowballing effect just because it's fun to watch the snowball roll downhill. Let me roll it down the hill like a little kid, right? Yeah. It's very immature kind of behaviors as opposed to thinking in long-termism, where what's going to happen 700 years from now? Is there going to be us or our descendants 700 years from now?
A lot of people are throwing in the towel on us being around.
I like
that long,
700 because 1326 is just before the Black Death.
Yeah, right. When we don't believe there's going to be a future, it's hard to worry about that kind of stuff. And I think many people today, at least from what I read online, there are a lot of apocalyptic viewpoints and end of the world scenarios out there. And when you have that and you take that seriously, why should you do anything? You know, I mean, what's the point? You know,
because you
what is the point? Right, but I mean, why should you do anything good? I guess is my point, or hard, or anything that you don't want to do. I mean, things are going to end anyways if there's no future for anyone. You know, just that kind of outlook is really negative.
Well, your unintended consequences are quite valid to think about, I think. And I'd like to come back to Bruno's points, because what he's got here is the identification of the problem. The identification of the solution would be to try to be mindful and do iterations, just like you do in science, Dan, where you hit upon something, then you try something different, you make little adjustments to see what happens next. But we've got a mindful goal of doing no harm, hopefully, and not creating a super bug that's going to wipe us all out.
Yeah. And for me,
then again, my theory sometimes is that the herd needs thinning. You know, my wife always calls me Zobrist after that character in Inferno, the movie with Tom Hanks. Because I do think, you know, it's a matter of stepping over the bodies and keeping breathing as long as possible, so that you can have an impact.
Yeah, I mean, you will have that, of course, evolution by natural selection. We are still, forces of evolution we cannot avoid, even though we're human and we have our technology. It still does not allow us to completely, avoid evolution. And so, yeah, there will be things that the strong will survive, and the weak, whatever you want to call them, may not. But intentionally, to do that intentionally, or to amplify that, I don't know.
We are interesting about this screen too. We're all in the center of our screen. So when I point this way, I'm pointing to Bruno. When I point that way, I'm pointing to Dan. But that wouldn't look like that on y'all's screens. I have no idea how it looks to our visitors. By the way, our visitors may ask questions if you wish. Please engage with us. And Bruno, what do you think about what Dan was just saying?
Or anything.
For Daniel's question is replied by you. Why should we not be nihilists, and why should we think that there is a possible future world? Because of children. Maybe you don't have, but probably you have a nephew, or you have, you have a younger generation that comes after you, and they deserve a better planet than the one that you received.
They're so
and
annoying.
At least they don't deserve a worse planet. Yeah, I agree, but
I kid.
but
I kid.
I agree, but beyond that, I mean, not all of them, and
No, I
anyhow,
and you're right, of course.
Well, Dan, you're thinking of having youngins, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe. Well, we would like trying to. Yeah, I've been trying to, and it'd be nice. And yeah, I'm all about the kids and the future. And I'm not one of these people that has this doomsaying outlook. I'm about positive. I have a very positive outlook. I try to keep a positive outlook as much as I can.
Well, that's it. We do have a positive outlook between the three of us, and what we want our audience, which we have a whole like 16 people, I think, or have had.
That regarding Daniel's question, I mean, we brought the younger generation. This deserves a little comment. We're all Gen Xers, I think. I'm not sure, but I think so. When we were young, we understood the difficulties of the world. You had to get a degree, you had to get a job, you had to buy a house, you had to create a family, and you had to have a legacy, and you had to write books, etc. You had to be a contribution. So we saw that for our parents, it was harder than it was for us. And so we wanted to make life easier for the younger generation. Now, the problem is that we made it perhaps too easy to the younger generation. And therefore, the younger generation now came in a little bit entitled, which is what you Americans call the woke problem.
They're soft.
They received as a fact, something that actually some people gave their life or their blood or their youth for. They already have it. And so for them, it's difficult to understand that some things deserve years of fight,
So what about
particularly in
Italy, Bruno? What's the younger generation in Italy? Italy look like? Bruno, do you see the same thing there with the younger generation in Italy?
They are runaways. Italy has a problem of old age, where the young people are leaving Italy, and the country is remaining with the older generation, and so we're getting older, and thus it means that we're decreasing in population. We're 59 million, and in the next 3 years we'll be 58. So Italy is pretty much a deserted land. And if you come here, you will see that there's a lot of ruins and a lot of towns and a lot of houses, and everything is empty. Because nobody wants to work in the countryside, for example. So, the quality of Italian food is also diminished.
Why? Wages are too low, or costs are too high, or a combination, or what's driving that?
Well, here, for example, when you talk about younger people, it's important to make a difference between Gen Z and the others, because Gen Z is not like the others. The others might be a little bit annoying. Gen Z is rather resentful because, for example, for Gen Z, it is impossible to get a job and buy a house. And so they are resentful because what was an opportunity for us is not even an opportunity for them.
Okay.
And so also you have this situation in which there's a lot of people making a lot of scammers, the crypto people, influencers, they make a lot of money not doing much. And there's a lot of people who work 12, 14-hour shifts and they never make $1. And so Gen Z is quite suspicious of what's going on. It doesn't make sense. Time is money, but it's not. Time becomes limited money, and some people it becomes money. And so there is a problem here that they have the right to question, and I agree with them in that aspect. I don't find them annoying. Now, millennials and alphas are totally into crypto, into spamming, into influencing. They think that that's the only possible road to make some money. And to a certain extent, they're also right, because if you want to buy a house, the only way today is to speculate. It's very hard to make to buy a house just with your everyday work. And so something to be addressed with the younger generations. You see, they have a reason to be one suspicious and the other ones a little bit too much into this system that is not exactly fair. It's very unfair.
Definitely true.
This time is money is a central thing, because at times, I feel that two comments. If you look at all historical fascisms have ended up in greed. In the very end, all Hitler's henchmen, they all had art collections and money stored in, Himmler had money stored in Austria, and Goebbels and von Ribbentrop had art collections stashed somewhere, and they were all in it for the money, which is quite surprising. And at times I look at the Trump administration and, all this crazy cabinet that he has gathered, and which makes no sense. The Trump cabinet is the craziest cabinet I've ever seen in a government. But one thing that I notice is that they're all in it for the money. They're all somehow making some kind of business based in insider information, or illegal transactions, or the fact that and before Trump it was totally out of the rule to mix business with politics. Now it's totally okay to mix business with politics. Like the basic,
I would bet that
ethical.
it's been that way for a while. I mean, business and
More in the
politics.
open.
When you
It's
look at
certainly
the
more in the open.
Congress people. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just say it's more in the open today, but yeah, right.
Yeah, it's more in the open, and it's more of public display with the gilding and everything. For God's sakes, it's absurd. But behind the scenes, I mean, the Clinton administration was definitely. We've been living in a kleptocracy at least since 1992.
Okay. I mean, I don't say no, but I would say that before it was at least a little bit hidden. And if they discovered you, you would
Only
have
if you
to
weren't
face
looking.
some kind of public confrontation, in the Senate or be in front of the courts of justice. Now, nobody, everyone is letting everyone go for it. There's something that has changed in the ethics.
Well,
You're actually smart.
There's definitely
Smart.
a lack of pretense. There's like you can't get me on anything. I can do anything to you because I've got the power kind of thing. That's definitely in play. But really, since the Nixon administration, and probably even before that, I don't know about Johnson so much. I'll have to do my research. And Jimmy Carter was like a blip. But for our political system, really during the Nixon administration, things shifted. Nixon in China, for instance, opening China to trade to the point where we moved all our manufacturing to China because of cheap labor, right? And to the third world. And then we did fast fashion. I mean, what we're doing to this planet is just horrific at so many levels. And what we're going to be leaving for the next generation, they will have a good reason to be resentful. They will not have a world like we have had, and it's going to be tipped over because we used it up because we were irresponsible. That's my thesis right now. I don't think we're rage baiting anybody, though.
Yeah, I mean, Bruno's right though, man. People, the way people shrug their shoulders today, they're just about the most.
Well, that's it. We're apathetic.
Horrific things like no big deal. Boys will be boys. Everything happens. It just happens.
And that was the Roy Cohn thing, right? When Trump was
caught
caught out in that thing about grab him by the hoo-ha.
Yeah, or whatever.
And they said, this is either going to be your death of your campaign or it'll be the greatest victory ever. It's really your choice. Be completely unrepentant about it and say boys will be boys, and you'll skate right up to the White House. And that's exactly what happened.
I mean, that's one thing about them. Same thing we say that about raping babies. It's a little more serious when you say boys will be boys, and you're talking about selling babies and shit like that. Then it's then it's not boys will be boys anymore.
I momentarily had that.
And people are
I wonder
about we're going different directions here. Yeah, Dan, you're saying something about selling babies.
I'm just saying people are shrugging. It's one thing to shrug your shoulders about grabbing someone's ass. I'm not saying that's a great thing to do, but okay. But shrugging your shoulders about that, and then shrugging your shoulders about someone selling babies or raping babies or whatever these people are doing.
Pedophilia.
And whatever, and people shrug their shoulders about that. Like, oh well, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do about it? I know. It's like that just drives me nuts.
Well, that's it. We're all responsible for the world we are co-creating. Go ahead.
It really makes me. It just makes me. Really, this is the one thing that does make me angry is when I see that apathetic reactions to the most horrible of crimes, and the most horrific of things, and it's just like, well, may or may not be true. That's probably probably politics as usual. And I'm just like, God. I mean, we talk that politics as usual is not like islands with temples to resurrect the ancient gods of evil. That's not politics as usual, man. That's something different. And it's just, I don't know, the way people are reacting to it, it's almost like they've gone blind or they just don't care. I don't think it's that they don't care.
It
think it's too
overwhelms the
much.
nervous
I think it's
system.
too much. It's too much for people.
It overwhelms the nervous
Right.
system, and we shut
It
down,
does.
and we
It
move
does.
on to something else so
We're
we
like,
can
wow,
actually
yeah,
deal with.
because you can't
Uh,
comprehend it. Because
when
just
Bruno, what do
you know,
you think?
I think this problem that Daniel is saying brings us back to the issue of truth versus momentum, which is if you do not believe that there is truth and facts, then you don't believe in a justice system, and then you don't believe in due process and the rule of law, and therefore you not only get the paraphilias of the crazy political class, but you also get a huge amount of injustice, including the ICE facilities and deporting people without due process, or getting people in jail without having the chance to be presented in front of a judge, the end of habeas corpus, and basically, a judge, before Trump, and this is a change that happened with Trump. Before Trump, the judges had the final word. Today, a judge states the final word, and Trump immediately goes into Truth Social and begins attacking the guard. The jury. Attack. Never concede defeat. Always declare victory. And so, Trump has managed to coerce and ruin the due process and the rule of law. And that is why now, every time that there is, a baby being killed, or all the Epstein crimes, every time anything of this has to go to the judicial system, thanks to Trump, now everyone is a little bit suspicious, and they allow it to happen. There is an enabling. But this comes back to the point: do you believe in truth or you don't believe in truth? And when people shrug their shoulders, as you say, it's basically people that have given up on truth. They don't believe in it anymore. The problem is that not believing in truth means a lot of things.
We agree with each other about that, it seems to me. So what's our solution to it? Because we are responsible. We are active agents on this planet. We are not powerless
I mean, this
entirely.
is my
Right,
solution
Dan?
is
We're not
this.
powerless, right?
That's why I'm on this, and that's why I'm on this podcast. This is my solution, and writing and writing on Substack is my solution. And I know it's not it's not the ideal solution, but I don't have a lot of power. I mean, I say that I do. Everyone has more power than they think, but I use the power I have, which is my mind, my writing, whatever, my talking, and to say the things I believe. And I think because we all are aligned on what's right, I think in
And what
working,
I
we're
do
working
is I
together to spread,
amplify.
these messages. And there
I
you go.
take what I see from you, I
Amplify.
amplify it. I put it through my own filter and I try to express it. And Bruno?
I studied the new phenomena and I tried to give it new names. And for example, it is interesting that we're coalescing into an issue with the nervous system, be it what you say, the overwhelming amount of information that we get from the internet, or a side effect from COVID. But we have a problem with our nervous system, which means each one of us has a problem with his nervous system. We need to calm down. We need to cool off. We need to respect the other a little bit more. We need to halt. We need to halt this impetus that we have to jump into any discussion and argue about everything. We have to give the other a chance. Give peace a chance.
Give long form writing.
And
yeah.
Go ahead.
And another thing that I think we can do is organize ourselves, because it's different to talk between two than talk between three, or than talk between five, or than talk between seven, or than talk between 12. And I can bet you that, for example, I remember when I was 20 years old in the 90s, it was very easy for me to get 12 friends and organize 12 friends for something. Today, it is super difficult to get 12 people together.
Yeah.
Together people for a dinner or for going to the beach, So we need to get a little bit more gregarious. We need to go back to what it meant to do something on groups of 12. After all, Jesus gathered 12 and he created the church.
Right. People do not have friends anymore, is the thing.
Look, those guys are not, they're not disciples, they're bums. They haven't got jobs.
Nobody
they left their father. What was that with leaving their father to do the fishing on his own, just casting aside their nets? Who does that? Just to follow this guy. Oh, well, anyway, don't get me started.
But having friends, though, as an adult,
getting people together is hard. But we have gotten together and we have found each other on the internet, and it feels like the early days of the internet to me. We talked a little bit about that, when you could make connections with people at distance and suddenly find you have common ground. Like when I went to the Goethe Institute on Prienam Chiemsee in Bavaria, and I found all these people from all over the world, many of whom were from the Eastern Bloc, who had just been freed from the Iron Curtain and were going to go into the diplomatic services of their countries. So I got to hear about what it was like to lose a brother in the war for liberation of Croatia, for instance, from my friend Derzislav, who went on, I think, to be in the embassy in Canada. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point being that what I do now, I want to get people together, and we lost Bruno again. Re-invite him, Dan.
Yeah, I will.
But what I wanted to say was, I've invited people on Substack who happen to be in DC to come by and see me because I'm at Daily Provisions on the job. I can be seen, right? It's a third space where we could get together and actually meet each other and form relationships. And I am forming relationships with various people. One of the guys who comes in regularly is the consul for Belarus. And so I've gotten to know him just as a customer, really. But at the same time, I know him as a human being.
And you're welcome to come to Mexico anytime, Hal. We'd love to have you down here. Anyone listening as well, you're welcome to come down to my place in Mexico anytime. We have a big place here. Well, I don't know all of you, but I trust you.
You're going to bring all
sure. Whoever's in the chat right now, you're welcome to come on down. You can stay.
And come to Washington D.C. and come to Daily Provisions at Q in Connecticut, Northwest. I'm easy to find. I'm showing people where I am all the time.
Yeah, I got a private
beach. I feel like it's dangerous, actually.
It is dangerous. Compared to Tijuana.
I do feel a sense of fear around exposing myself as widely as I do.
You do,
even though I'm not really, snowballing.
What sort of fear? What sort of fear do you have fear about it?
There are a lot of crazy people in the world. I'm here.
But you're nobody, Hal. Who's gonna?
Well,
that's what I always say. I don't worry about it because I'm like, no one's gonna. Who's gonna try to come after me? I mean, come on, seriously. I was like, that's just such a nobody.
Well, I hope
it's just
not worth
it.
You never know. You ever see The Jerk by Steve Martin?
I've not seen it. I've heard of it. I've heard it.
You've got to see it because there's a scene in which he gets his name in the phone book and he says, this is the kind of publicity that makes people. And there's some psycho killer who goes down the phone book, finds his name and goes out and tries to kill him.
Nice. The phone book, huh? Well, hopefully that doesn't happen. Thanks, Hal. Thanks for getting me. I'm going to go now. I'm not going to go now.
Bruno's gone underground.
Bruno,
according to my research, Bruno is not anywhere in Italy.
He's not. He's gone underground, but not for that reason, though. There was not a
no, we don't know a lot of detail about that beyond what he told you.
I know some details, yes, but I'm not gonna.
It's for him to tell.
It's
if he comes back, because
and Bruno has a very interesting. I don't want to hear one day we'll hear about his personal life because the man has had a very, very interesting. In addition to his professional bona fides, the man has had a extremely.
And his film El Futuro, I'm going to put that in the chat. It was pretty damn good, I thought.
I'll have to check it out. I've not seen any of his movies. I think that's the only. I don't think any of them are English. I don't believe. No, I don't believe. I think he told me.
It doesn't matter. You got subtitles available on Tubi. If you like subtitles, I mean.
But this one had Rutger Hauer. The El Futuro had Rutger Hauer in it, right? They had a big name actor in it, right? Wasn't Rutger Hauer in the El Futuro?
Is that what it was? I didn't pay that much attention.
You weren't really watching it. Yeah, it wasn't.
It was just color on the screen and some words, and I was doing something.
It was really artsy, wasn't it? It was probably artsy fartsy, wasn't it? Like super
artsy. Yeah. And it was kind of good. I thought generally it was just.
So it was not that good.
2013. I think it got some pretty good reviews. I think it got like 80%.
It was an international film. It was actually three different. It was a really interesting story about it because it's like international, three different producers from different countries.
And psychologically, it's interesting. A blind man being seduced by a young woman.
Yes.
And an older guy. That we were talking about that before we started. The idea.
The idea of the thing that never happens.
Being attracted to young women.
The thing that never happens, yes. But they like to make movies about it. They like to make movies about it for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the male ego is just a really interesting thing too. It's just so inappropriate, and we're seeing that play out in big, garish, unholy kind of ways. It seems to me.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. That's very true, very true.
And we can do something about that. That's my point. Is that Bruno has done a great job of articulating this idea of momentum versus truth, or truth versus momentum, which is what I really think it ought to be. Truth being the first thing we want to try to get at.
Yeah.
We can really make this world a better place than the one in which we live. That's riffing off of Alan Toussaint. Alan to sing. Actually, the
Who-
piano
who-
player. Yes, we can. That's the name of the song.
I don't know who that is.
It's a great
Lots of weird
song.
references, man.
It's a great
So
song.
you know,
Who else covers it?
yes, we can.
Yes, we
What?
can. It
Alan
goes
is-
something like, now's the time for all good men to get together with one another and try
Okay.
to, fix the problems of the world and try to act as brothers. And don't
Okay, well, I
forget
know that song.
and don't forget the women of the world, because we all have mothers.
Okay, I don't remember that part.
That's it.
That song. All right. Well, I guess maybe
Respect
Bruno's
the
not
women.
coming. Maybe Bruno's not coming back. But it says that we're waiting for him to join still. But he may have lost his signal. He was
You
on.
wanna
He was
try
on a
to-
cell.
He's maybe on WhatsApp. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
sent him a
sent
note.
hello
Let's see.
2 minutes ago.
Yeah, tell him I sent him another invite. And he should be able to get back in.
Okay. Oh, he sees it over with. New invite sent.
Yeah, he sent it. He should have it.
Cancel it and
You gotta
send it
love life.
again.
All
That's
right.
what I
Okay,
usually
well,
do.
thanks.
Sometimes I do that
Yeah,
2 or
but
3
whenever you
times
do
a
that,
day.
but whenever you do that, it always screws me over because right when you cancel it, that's when I accept it. let me just wait.
I told him
wait
new
again.
invite sent. So let's see if
Yeah,
he
see,
says
I think
anything.
we'll wait a second. Yeah,
See
and I still
it?
have a thing on my screen that says it's waiting for him to join or whatever. So,
Yeah, I see it too. Waiting for Bruno to join. Maybe I can invite him too.
so
I
audience
create some-
in the chat, anyone in the live chat, is there any questions or
Yeah,
or
we
you
got
may-
TD Rice that said
I'm gonna
3
say-
power mines. That's lovely.
or okay?
Daniel
That's nice.
Halen that joined recently. Mix and Intel. Anybody? Come on. If you're watching,
Anybody want to
give
come on
us
to
a
the show?
sign.
Anybody want to just join us? You can join if you want. I can invite you and to talk if you want to join.
Yeah, ask to join.
Anybody, seriously. I mean, I'm happy to have you meet you. I mean,
Yeah, it'd be fun.
if you're probably watching cat
Yes,
videos on YouTube, I know you're probably watching cat videos on YouTube and not paying attention. But if you are paying attention, you're more than welcome.
Well, he says getting there.
It's
He
coming,
says
okay.
getting there. Bruno does.
All right, he's getting there.
But
So okay, we got 15 minutes left,
got him
or
here.
10 minutes left, I guess. We got 10 minutes left. What are we doing here? Do we want to keep talking on the same topic here?
No, that's kind of a
You wanna
weird
switch
effect, the
gears?
way that reflects.
Yeah, it did reflect really.
Well, did you have a topic you wanted to talk about?
Well, it's not exactly. I had
I have a
something
good
that-
ancestors topic all the time because I think we
Yeah.
really have a responsibility
but I did
to
have something
act.
I'm kind of curious about. I was going to do this microbiology trivia thing because I really am curious to see what you guys, your knowledge level of microbiology is. I know this is way switching gears here, going from
Go
something
ahead.
very political to something that's but I want Bruno to be here for this because I don't want to just
Okay.
see what he has to say as well. So I may not be able to do it unless he can come back.
Let me see where he's at. Yes, I accept it, but it is slow here.
It's just slow. Okay.
He says it's slow there.
All right,
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
What are you showing there on the screen?
It's a
Question?
microbiology trivia. So
Okay. Tardigrade is a water bear. What about it?
I don't know.
Eagle,
See, okay. Bruno, are you back?
No, Bruno's not
No,
back.
he's not
I don't
back.
think.
No, I don't want to do without Bruno. It's not the same.
Yeah, I like it though.
Alright.
It
He's
says
like-
the following order from the least hard to kill to the most hard to kill.
That's right. Yes. And by the way, yes,
For-
for the audience,
for
we're switching
whom?
gears from
For me
politics.
personally, I have to kill them.
No, dude, no, for you. No, in terms of just how hard are they to actually kill, for anything, in any way, in any manner. And so, the idea is you have to rank these in the order of which is the hardest to kill. So, what's the most hardy, the most robust of all these living things?
Well, I would say I would go with the bacterial spore personally. It might be the fungal spore. It's one of those two. Then it would be probably after that tardigrade. Tyrannosaurus rexes are all dead, so I don't think it counts. Then Steven Seagal is last.
No,
He's the
it counts.
easiest to kill.
It's correct. Tyrannosaurus rex does count, even though it is. You're correct. It is extinct.
Hey, Bruno's here.
Counts, though. It still counts, though.
Bruno's here. So Dan wants to take this quiz. I just took it. And
It's only the first question, dude. It's only the first question. It's at least it's a 5 or 10 question quiz. It's a microbiology quiz to test your knowledge of microbiology and really the concepts.
From least hard to kill to most hard to kill.
Correct. Yes.
The least hard is Steven Seagal.
But okay, yes.
We agreed on that.
We agreed on that, yes. But it's called hard to kill.
Are you listening to it?
Yes, we're listening.
Correct. Okay.
Yes.
And the hardest one is the fungal spore.
Oh, so close. Actually, Hal was right. It actually is the bacterial spore is actually the
Yay!
hardest to kill, because Steven Seagal, while a talented martial artist, it's not that hard to kill. A T-Rex, yes, was a dominant predator, but it's
The
an
thief
animal.
of onions disagrees.
It can be killed pretty easily. And then
Yeah, they're all
tardigrades
dead.
actually very hardy. They are very hardy. Actually, they can survive in space, at least in the so-called ton form, which is what people, that picture they always show. And they can survive in the vacuum of space,
I've never
etc.
seen the dehydrated one.
Isn't that crazy? Look at that thing. Anyways, they can be killed though by high temperatures, and of course, if you shoot them from a gun, they can also be killed. Fungal spores are also very, very hardy. They survive very, very well in a lot of different conditions. But bacterial endospores, by far the most hardiest life form on Earth, up to from near zero, absolute zero, to 150
302
C.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, and also chemicals, radiation, desiccation, vacuum, all those things. And we can remain viable for decades or much longer. So the
So
bacterial
we
spore
should definitely put those on our solar sails so they can distribute
edges out
light.
edges out the fungal spore. By the way, this question, this presentation was geared towards an audience of mushroom cultivators. That's why it's fungal. There's a lot of fungal questions on here, but still, it's microbiology stuff. So here's question number 2. All other things being equal, so this is multiple choice. Which of these scientists here would be expected to know the most about fungi and mushroom cultivation? So would you pick a plant biologist, a chemist,
All
a
other
physicist,
things being
a
equal.
biologist, or a botanist? Who would know the most about growing fungi? You think?
Biologist.
Okay, it's good call. Good guess.
Biologist.
Now, Bruno, what do you think? What do you think? Bruno, you asleep? He's still there, or do we lose him again?
No, he's looking.
He's
I
looking.
think
He's
he's looking.
thinking.
I can't see much motion. It's tiny, tiny little square there and there.
Are you thinking, Bruno?
And you're partially off camera.
Answer? Okay, I'm going to give you the answer because we can't wait for Bruno. You're right. You're right, Hal. Actually,
You
it's
might have
biology.
frozen.
And the reason why is because fungi are actually more closely related to animals than to plants. So the trick there, sort of the trick, is that you would think, oh, it's a plant, right? It's, it's mushrooms or whatever, fungi, they're plants.
Nope.
But no, they're not. They're not. And in fact, they're more closely related genetically to animals, and including humans, than they are to plants. And we know this from
eukaryotic life blows my mind.
It does, and we know this because of the work of Carl Woese, a famous microbiologist, and 16S ribosomal RNA sequencing. So, in event.
That
question 3.
Okay, question 3.
All right, keep going. What? Okay. Oh, another question. This is a good question here, actually. What? Okay. When you look at the tree of life here, you see the one. This tree of. That's what this thing is here in the top right corner here. Okay. What's one thing you notice is missing there from the tree? If you think about microorganisms, of course, and well, really all organisms, all life. There's something that you'll probably notice. Well, maybe you won't notice, but I'm going to ask you what it is that's missing from that tree of life that we hear about a lot, and we were just talking about earlier, actually, today on the podcast.
Oh yeah, viruses and
That's correct.
phages.
Viruses are not on the tree of life because they are not considered alive. They're not considered living beings, so they have a different thing. But in any event, question number 3. All other things being equal, what type of biologist now? So we said it was a biologist, but out of the biologists, which type of biologist would be expected to know the most about fungi and mushroom
I'll give
cultivation?
Bruno a shot.
Yeah,
I know the answer.
Is Bruno still not able to talk? Anyone in the audience? Is there an audience still?
The audience, yeah, the thief of onions has nailed it.
They fall asleep.
Yeah, the thief of onions has nailed it already.
He's nailed it. Yes, it's a mycologist, of course, and arguably it's D also, but anyways, so it's a mycologist and microbiologist basically, but they specialize in the study of fungi. And it's interesting if you look at mycology and parasitology, they're both considered subdisciplines of microbiology, but fungi and parasites, as we talked about when I did my parasite thing, are also macrobiotic. They're big. They're not just microbes. So which is kind of interesting. But in any event, if you look at the type of microorganisms that there are and the number of microbiologists that study the type of microorganism, it's highly skewed towards the bacteria, and there's lots of reasons for that. There's more virologists now because of COVID and of course and AIDS, all these other things, all these viral diseases. But
hardly any mycologists. Are you familiar with the work of Paul Stamets?
It sounds familiar to me.
He's the guy who did Fantastic Fungi, the movie on Netflix. Anyway, he's tried to sell us all on mycelial, products
And there are some
Um,
good. There are some interesting products. Yeah, there are some
yes.
actually some good immune system boosting effects of some of these
A
products.
lot of the marketing is saying, "Oh, my cilia don't do it. You got to have the fruiting bodies," but he says that's a lie. They're just
It
putting you on.
depends. As all things, it depends. Like as with most things in science, it really depends on the details. But anyway, I just think it's interesting that most microbiologists, myself included, I would consider myself a bacteriologist by training. And the reason is mostly because they're the easiest to work with in the lab, which is, I know, a dumb reason, but that's really the reason. All right, here's a good question for you. How many bacteria? So this is an agar plate, right? Everyone knows. Everyone knows. You may know that agar plates are how we grow bacteria.
Yeah, I
We
used to
can
do.
count them.
I did this
You just do this.
experiment with
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Azotobacter vinlandii.
Yeah, everyone's probably done this in high school or whatever, middle school or
Yeah.
grade school, whatever. So you got a plate. So it says how many bacteria are on this plate right here. So your choices are, these are your choices. So how many bacteria are actually on that plate?
What's 10 to the 9?
It's a billion.
That is equal to a billion?
Yes, the same thing. D and E here is the same. I'll give
They're
it to you.
doing the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I think, well, it looks like B might be a good answer because that's culture forming units, right?
Good job. Nice, Hal. You know that. It's colony forming unit. Colony forming units. You were close. You're very
Colony
close.
forming units. Yeah. There
Yeah.
are 3 of
So there's actually,
those.
it's sort of a trick question. There's actually two.
They're probably
But
more.
first,
They're
but
probably
first,
tiny.
right. So the fun
Yeah.
facts here: that the symbol, that squiggly symbol, which we use for approximate, also means a whole bunch of other things, which is kind of interesting. So in mostly people know it, or at least for me, I mostly know it as the approximate thing, like approximately 30 minutes. Uses the squiggly deal. But in logic, I've also used it in logic. It means not, so not p. And then in math and statistics, they also use it, and it means eventually or essentially equal. They also use it in informal or casual writing. So you can put that at the end of a sentence to make it. I didn't know you could actually do this, but apparently you can, to make it into a gentle tone. And then they use it in the dictionary, represents it, the head word. I don't know what the head word is, but and then they use it in programming as well. And then they also, of course, use it in language as the diacritic in Spanish and Portuguese. So it's used all over the place. That wiggly line, which I always was thought of as approximate, is used for all kinds of other things. Fun facts there. For fun for me at least, maybe not for anybody else. So the answer here is actually three correct answers. You're right, Hal.
Ah,
It is three colony forming units, but it's also three. So it's actually 3 times 10 to the 9. So each colony roughly has approximately a billion cells in it. So
wouldn't you
actually a billion
expect,
bacteria.
though? Wouldn't you expect, though, that there are a lot of others that are submicroscopic or
Actually, no.
subvisual?
You
Huh?
no that no you would not.
There
The
can't
way
be
the
any
way
subvisual ones. If they're not
not
visual, they're not there.
it depends again in a real world scenario plating an unknown sample. Yes, there could be, but in the case of a plate count where you have a defined culture, that
Okay.
is one thing that that it's not that's not the way it works. But yes, in a real sample that you're plating and you don't know what it is, sure, absolutely, because they all grow at different rates. Like some grow more quickly, some grow more slowly, and it depends on the media, of course, what's in that agar, right? Some bacteria like some things, and
Do you
some
think
like
they
other
have
things.
consciousness at any level?
I don't. They do not have. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, they do not have consciousness at any level, and I don't even want to hear that kind of talk because it really is. But you
I
know what?
feel
They probably have more claim to consciousness than a computer does, though. I'll give them that because they are
well.
alive.
That's a good point.
So at least on that level of being alive, sharing that fact, at least they share that in common with a
How about
living thing.
slime molds?
Slime molds also are living things, so they are not probably conscious. And slime molds are further up the, let's say, evolutionary chain than the bacteria.
It's very interesting, isn't it? They can become multinucleated, right?
And
Like
they
the cell
sort of
walls break down.
communicate. They say they have a form of communication, but bacteria also communicate with swarm sensing, what they call it, with chemical molecule signaling and things. So, but
And
communication,
fungi link
fun,
plants. Yeah.
many things, many microbes communicate, many things communicate, but
I think the
communication is not
mycelia idea is what I
consciousness.
want to see happen with all of us. We are 3 culture forming units
Right,
here, and we're
right.
going to form a culture.
Another fun fact here: at maximum density, you can get about 10 million bacteria into a 1 microliter drop of water, and a microliter is a small amount of it's a very small amount of water. I mean, a droplet that comes out of a dropper is like 10. It's like typically 10 microliters or so. So a tenth of that, or usually they're more like to 40 actually. But a microliter is a small amount of water. So that tells you how small bacteria are. They're very very small. Hey, how about this one? Here's another one. How many bacteria are on this plate? And you have here you go.
Oh,
What
we've
do you think,
got
Hal?
5
What do you think, Hal?
something other. Oh, probably it's again BDE, isn't it? Or no?
Oh, it's a trick. What you fell for the trick, Hal? No, it's done because these are actually 5 fungal colonies. These are
Oh, they
fungi
are.
and not bacteria.
Oh.
So you were tricked by my stupid
I was
trick
supposed to
question.
recognize those as fungal.
No, no, but maybe you could because they look very different from the bacteria, right? Look. You see
They
those?
do look different. I mean, in the
But you're
aspect of
not being
I
a
thought they were
microbiologist. No,
bigger.
you would not. I would not expect that you would recognize that as a fungal
So,
colony. But
so did they eliminate the bacterial colonies? Because
no,
fungi sometimes can kill bacteria,
they
right?
can. They do. They do have Good job, Hal. You're a regular microbiologist. They do have antibacterial properties. Many
Seems like
fungi,
his sound is
penicillin.
off, and we may need to wrap it. Bruno is telling us in the chat.
I see. I see. All right. Oh well.
Rude
Wait,
professor with his trick questions, the thief of onions.
what?
Do we know
All
the
right.
thief of onions? I think we need to bring this guy on. He's going to chatty.
Who is this thief? Did he get them all right? Did he get
Do
all
you
the
see
questions
that?
right?
I think probably.
I don't know
mean,
yet.
he's doing all right, but he's saying a lot of things, and it's of course
Let me see.
fragments.
I can't see him because I'm in the thing. I'm gonna get out of the presentation
Okay,
here. Anyway,
gotta get out of
thanks,
that
Hal. You
thing.
did good. You passed. There's more questions, but I'll save them for later because that was certainly a huge hit. Huge win.
Yeah, the thief of
crowd.
onions I just flicked open here is an interloper, aristocrat on a permanent holiday,
Hey,
purveyor,
Last of Us.
purveyor of some kind of
Why don't you
fictional
come on, dude?
delirium.
Can you come on?
They have
invite you?
126 subscribers. Do you want to go long? Because we're all at the hour.
Sure. Yeah, let's just see if he wants to come on. Thief of Onions. Rude for
Yeah, did you invite him
How do I invite him? How can I do that?
or
Let's see.
her?
I can ban him, but I can't.
It looks like a him
How
in
do
the
I invite?
picture anyway. I
Invite
think
guests. Here we go.
seems to be bearded, facial hair.
I see. Okay, I'm adding guests. I'm trying to. Thief of Onions.
That'd be kind of
I
fun.
like the name.
I think Bruno's dropped. Is
all
Bruno
right,
still there? I've got a blank screen on mine over there.
I can't. It
Blow
won't
this
let me.
back
It
out.
won't let me invite him. It's grayed out for some reason. Like I can see him, but it's grayed out, so I can't.
Yeah,
invite
it's
him.
grayed out probably because Bruno is still technically here.
Oh.
There's something. There's a
there's a limit on
black
the number of
area.
guests.
You see the black area?
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get out of that.
Bruno said he couldn't connect. Yeah, I'm here. Maybe I have to. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the case, Bruno. That you're here and you have to leave so Onion can join if you can. If you want to. I mean, I really hate that Bruno's connectivity was so bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
he had a
it's
problem
good.
with internet,
But I think
and I
it's
don't
pretty
know
good.
if he was on
Substack will clean that up for the thing. They did a pretty good
4G.
job.
We can do it
Yeah,
next time. Yeah, whenever I'm not working. I think I'm off Monday and Tuesday. Let me check my schedule.
All right, Onion. Thief of Onions, we'll have you on next time. I promise. Sorry. Yeah, but next time we do one of these, I will not forget. I can't forget the name. So thanks for joining. And so you got the questions. All right, everybody. And thanks,
Anything
Bruno.
else we need to cover?
Need to. Yeah. What is this? What? This isn't like an assignment or anything. What was I supposed to do?
Well, I don't know. We got to catch up with each other. We got
Need
to figure out how's going on. You
I
said
need to
you
cover.
were crossing the border and they were asking if you were a communist.
Yes.
Really?
They had to. Yes, they had to ask. They had to. It came down from. They were embarrassed. It is insanity. Yes, they do insane stuff like that all the time up there, just for no reason. And it's just
people. How are we not on the streets about this? There are no protesters in Washington D.C. doing anything effective
the thing is,
at
if
all.
you protest, there's a big problem here. You can't. If you protest, you can lose your right. You can lose the ability to cross the border, and that's a major. I mean, there's a no. That's not negotiable. Like, and they're very strict about.
Oh, you can't protest the Mexican government. You're saying
no, but you can't. If you get involved in some sort of some sort of protest thing, that the border people they're looking at stuff, and they will ban. They will, prevent you from crossing the border. And if that happens, you're
shutting
SOL.
us down, huh?
So, anyways, it's not something you want to trifle with. Which is why I rarely talk about it actually in my posts.
Press. Freedom of the press. I mean, they tried to stop me from filming in the metro station the other day, and I looked it up, and I have a right to do that if I feel like it.
Yeah.
And there's no way they can shut me down. Now, the metro person probably had no idea about that. They were a metro cop, right?
But I gotta tell you that these border people are it's not ICE, but they're the same. They're not. It's not the same. It's not people that are not necessarily rational. So, anyway, all right, guys. Later. Thanks.
Thank you. Out here.
Thanks, Steve of Onions.